The Second World War was the greatest war the humanity has ever seen, and it brought destruction to the whole world, from Europe to Pacific. But without dispute, Europeans under Nazi occupation suffered the greatest pain. Throughout the Second World War, Nazi Germany made attempts to wipe out large crowds of unwanted people, according to the ideology of Nazi regime. During this period, named Holocaust, more than 17 million people consisting of Jewish, Soviet prisoners of war, ethnic Poles, Romanians, Masons, Slovenes, Jehovah's Witnesses, mentally and physically disabled, and homosexuals were killed by Nazis. Behind this slaughter lays German National Socialism's ideology of races. Nazis killed a fermented people from different origins, claiming that Germans were the Aryan race and so superior to the other races, and the conservation of the Aryan race was vital for the human civilization. In efforts to purify German nation, they even killed physically and mentally disabled and homosexuals. The largest of these massacres took place in the concentration camps established in Poland by Nazi regime. The largest and notoriously known of these camps was Auschwitz concentration and extermination camp, consisting of 3 separate camps. The first camp, Auschwitz I, was established in 1940 in the southeast of Auschwitz, which is a small town 60 kilometers to the west of Soviet city Krakow. Auschwitz II was built in the village of Birkenau, which is 3 kilometers to the west of Auschwitz, and Auschwitz III was built in the town of Monowitz, which is to the east of Auschwitz. The first camp, Auschwitz I, was established as a concentration camp. It also maintained the administrative center of Auschwitz camps. 70,000 Soviet prisoners of war and Poles were killed in this camp. The camp is also known for the saying written above its main gate in German, "Work sets you free." Established as the third camp, Auschwitz III served as a concentration and work camp, spreading on 40 km squares with its 39 sub-camps. The most notorious and horrifying of these camps is Auschwitz II, aka Auschwitz-Birkenau. The camp was founded in Birkenau village by the decree ordering a concentration camp to be built for Soviet prisoners of war. Designed as a work and extermination camp, Auschwitz-Birkenau possessed 6 gas and 4 cremation chambers. It was set up on a 5 km squares wide area. During the construction, local people were forced to leave their houses, and their houses were demolished to acquire construction material. The camp was surrounded with high-voltage electric wires. Towards the end of 1941, a new gas named Zyklon B was being tested in Auschwitz I, and in the summer of 1942, genocide started in gas chambers in Auschwitz-Birkenau. First, Soviet officers and then prisoners that are unable to work, and mothers and children were sent to the chambers. After this date, all the prisoners that were brought to the camp were subjected to the same procedure. Besides, after the summer of 1942, hundreds of Jewish that were brought to the camp were instantly killed. Thus, Auschwitz-Birkenau turned into an extermination camp. One of the most terrifying aspects of these camps were that they were built and run by the joint and disciplined work of the Nazi regime's institutions and the German corporations. Prisoners of Auschwitz camps were forced to work in very difficult conditions in the factories of German corporations like Krupp, IG Farben, and Siemens. Starting from the year 1944, Allied forces acquired detailed photos of all camps. Again in 1944, aircrafts belonging to the United States Air Force launched an attack on Bunawerke factory near Auschwitz, achieving considerable damage to the factory. But the question of why US Air Force didn't attack the camps or the railways carrying prisoners to the camps remains. With the Soviet Army's rapid advance in 1945, 60,000 prisoners were removed from the camps and forced to relocate towards west between January 15th and the 23rd. This relocation was named Death March because many lost their lives meanwhile. About 7,500 prisoners who were unable to travel were left around the camps. After Soviet Army seized the camp, it announced that more than 1 million pieces of clothing, more than 7 tons of human hair, and about 45,000 pairs of shoes were left behind. SS troops were found in the camps. Auschwitz-Birkenau camp, which was added to the World's Cultural Heritage List back in 1979, now serves with the name of Auschwitz-Birkenau State Museum. Also, Auschwitz-Birkenau camp inspired many films, among which are Schindler's List, The Pianist, and Remember.